All right. Well, welcome everyone to the meeting of the Mayor's Advisory Commission on the Arts. Uh, our chair person, Stacy Short, is attempting to join us. She's having a hard time uh, getting access into the meeting. So we'll just, she asked that we go ahead and get started. We could, in her absence, and hopefully she'll join us any minute. Uh, First item that we wanted to do is to confirm the presence of a quorum, and I can see from those present, we do have a quorum to do business, so thank you very much for that. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes, and I hope if you've had an opportunity to take a look at those, the minutes from the February 11th meeting.
Why we can't get everybody. No.
And if everyone's had a chance to look at those, we would entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Who made that motion?
This is Tom Meyer.
Okay.
Seconded by Katie Gall.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Very good. Motion passed. Minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is an update about the City Song Initiative, which was initially proposed by the mayor. And I believe Trent is going to be the person that will present on this item.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, I guess. I'm at home, so I don't have my music computer, so I can't actually share some music with you, but I'll email you some samples. I have some ideas, of course, and some of the ideas that I'm thinking of, I wanted to present to you. You're always welcome to email me and chat with me about it. Is to do more than just a city song, but to do a little city suite based on certain musical types that have been around the area. Starting first with an Native American song. I found someone who plays Native American instruments, and I've reached out to them about potentially doing some of this for the project, and they've agreed at least to start. Then to tie in with the trails, I found a few compositions that were popular around the Lewis and Clark expedition times to sort of melt into a second part of this song vision, or like I said, a mini suite. The third would be, I found a few songs that were composed based on independence themes, either probably some ties to the Mormon Church, but also just broad things that I've searched out. You also have, of course, the Black American music, the jazz component, which will be in there. There's a couple pretty heavy country singers who grew up in Independence, so we're going to sneak some country in there. Also, my wife, who works at the Truman Library, shared some recordings of Harry playing piano on, I think it was right around the restoration of the White House. So there's a couple samples of that, which I'm going to sample and then probably turn into a hip hop groove based on that. And I think you all know that Tech Nine, the rapper, was from Independence. So while I don't think I can reach out to him directly, I have a fair amount of friends who are in that world who I've already sounded out about potentially doing something at the very end of this suite. So it's probably 5 or 6 1 minute to 2 minute movements. So that's like a broad brushstroke. The only thing that I'm going to struggle with is eventually putting video to that. And that's one of the things that the city songs that everybody has put on that mayor site is really beautiful. So I will be reaching out, and if anybody has even just drone footage and things like that, because of COVID, we can't really do, group hangs, but it might be nice to do some drone footage of the city itself. And if anybody has leads on that, just email me. That's pretty much in the future, though. I'm still working on getting some base outlines, which I should have done in the next couple of weeks, so I can at least present like really rough sketches for everybody. There you go.
Well, that's fantastic work. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Trent?
This is Tom. Sorry, I'm listening and eating my lunch. So I think, Trent, you have wonderful ideas, and I'm really thrilled to hear your work so far. I just put in the chat, if we could get some drone footage, I'm sure there is, of Santa Calagon, Wine Fest, maybe the Mardi Gras event, the events that the Rotaries do, etc. That would be wonderful. And then, were you thinking, in terms of lyrics, would there be anything about the history related to Santa Calagon or anything like that?
We're definitely going to have at least 2 or 3 parts of this will have lyrics. So I haven't even bridged that gap yet. I'm still working on melodic ideas that will make actual sense to put a lyric to. So, but definitely I am not a lyricist, so I will be recruiting anyone who, and a couple of you have already emailed expressing interest, so it will be fun. This is just a fun little project, and I'm really happy to see what develops. But that's a great idea.
Thank you.
So for the minutes here, I was trying to jot down some of what you were saying as you were going, and I did note, and you said that after you mentioned Native American music might be a thing you start, in the independence themed types of music, which might include country music.
Yep.
I know you threw out Harry Truman playing the piano, and
Yes.
Tech Nine originally from, maybe a thought. Did I miss anything there? Was there any other?
It's going to be probably, so you have the Native American element, then you have the Lewis and Clark period, which is a little bit before some of the music that I found that's truly independence, either independence deeply in the lyrics or song base. So Native American, Lewis and Clark, then independence, then probably we're going to skip, we can't do everything, of course. We're going to skip to probably the early, swing-based Black American, Count Basie sort of vibe, into Truman, into country. There's more, because one of the big founders of Devo, for instance, is from Independence. But there's a lot. I mean, it's funny because I'm not from here, so I'm just enjoying the whole process of digging into what is around for independence musicians. So like I said, it's just sketches, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, sketches will become a lot clearer.
Well, that is fantastic, and we appreciate very much you taking the lead on this, and it sounds like fantastic progress being made. So very much appreciate your hard work on this.
Pleasure. It feels very good. So thanks for presenting something that's going to be fun for this broken down old musician. So
it'll be very fun. This is great. Next item on our agenda is talking about the Truman statue project that they're working on at the Independence Square, and I believe Cindy McLean and artist Byron Constance, I think we're going to talk about this item. So I don't know, who do I want to turn this over to first? Would this be Cindy or Byron? Who's going to kick it off?
Cindy. I was going to say Byron. I don't know if you can share the screen, but I have pictures up. So the Independence Square has commissioned Byron to do Truman statues, and the first one we're beginning with is World War version of Truman, and then the next one will be Clinton as a 13-year-old sweeping, where his first job at Clinton's, which wasn't Clinton's at the time, but where his first job was. And then our hope is to have 2 more that as we do the square renovation, or the streetscapes as it's better known. I call it the square reno because that's what it is. But on all 4 corners, we would like to have the Trumans represented different times in his life. And so Byron already has World War I mocked up, and I've got pictures of it. Can I share my screen? Can you make me share my screen?
I think you can share it with, if you hit that box with the arrow right up above the top there next to your microphone where it says leave. I don't know if yours looks the same as my screen, but if you do that, we ought to be able to share you ought to be able to share your screen.
Yep. Let me try that again. Well, Byron, you talk while I figure this out because it's not working as easily as Zoom does.
Well, to create the statue, we're looking at a picture, we'll see a picture of Truman in his World War I captain's uniform. When he first arrived in France in 1917, he went to a photographer's studio and had his picture taken in his uniform. I think he had some postcards made, which he mailed back home to family and friends. So we're using that picture as the basis of a life-size sculpture in his World War I uniform. At that time, he was a captain, he was a lieutenant, but he soon became a captain. So we're calling it Captain Truman. Cindy, I've got a picture of that may show up here. I'm not sure. Does that come through?
Yes, we do that well.
Yeah, this isn't letting me share for some reason. So,
if Byron sent you an email to one of you, would you be able to take that email picture? I've got them right here. If I could, would that work?
I've got the actual photos on my laptop. They just aren't. It's not letting me share screen for some reason.
Okay. Can you enlarge that picture that Byron has there? Is there any way to enlarge that?
Oh, we can see it really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good. Okay.
So I've now prepared a 16-inch maquette, which last week I delivered to an enlarger in Loveland, Colorado, and I'm talking from Phoenix now. We'll be home toward the end of next week, and I expect to have a full-size enlargement in rigid styrofoam, which I will then cover in clay and incorporate all of the details and features that show up in the old picture of him. So that's the start of the process. After I complete the full size, ship it back to Loveland, to the mold makers and the foundry to have it cast into bronze. And we're probably looking at sometime in late October or early November before it will actually be ready to put in place on one of the corners of the square. Cindy, you might describe a little bit about what the streetscape will look like then and just how you will do it. Incidentally, here's the picture of the maquette that I've completed. I don't know whether that shows up or not. I think we're getting some reflection from the window here.
Oh, that we can see it very well. If you would maybe tilt the top of it forward a little bit, and then yeah, that's perfect. You could even bring it a little closer to your camera if you want, and I think people could really get a good view of it.
Yeah, looks great.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I've got it on my phone too, the old-fashioned way, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And the laces go up the boot. The details are really great. The glasses, it's really, we're pretty excited. So yeah, as the streetscape saga continues, the hope is that the square will have bump outs where the stop signs are now in the middle of the street, or it feels like they're in the middle of the street. There's supposed to be bump outs to those. We have, as a square association, kind of decided not to put the statues on those bump outs, which I think in one of the original square designs, that's where statues or art or something was going to sit. But we are concerned that the county will decide the statues belong to them, and we don't want that to happen. So I think that we have landed on putting these statues on the four corners of, so the four outer corners, the four square proper corners. And the one that's Clinton's at, Truman at 13 will go on the bump out in front of Clinton's, and then the war one we're thinking might go on the opposite corner of Lexington and Main, just because it's right there by the statue. And then the other two, which we yet to be determined what age he will be in those and what he will be doing, will go on the other two corners. So Byron's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I'll be busy for a few months anyway.
Yeah, at least. So I will get those applications in to us.
Fantastic. Are there any other comments or questions for Cindy or Byron about the Truman statue project?
They are life size, so they'll feel.
Mark, the approval of the Arts Commission is required according to our, what do we call it? Our
policy.
Our policy that we recently adopted. The Independent Square Association has already given approval, and the necessary city approvals have been given. So the last step in the approval process is for this entity to officially approve the concept, and we'll continue to move forward.
So are you wanting to move forward with that today? Are you, or Cindy, were you going to present something else at the next meeting, or what was the thought on that?
I probably need to fill out the application, correct? And then so that you have it in hand or the commission has it in hand.
Well,
okay, if we can approve it today, that's great.
I don't know if you can hear me. This is Stacy.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, good. I couldn't tell if you
Very
could
good.
hear me or not. I heard a bit of the conversation, and I think it would be a good idea if we did go have the application in hand and we could make it a nice, concise, formal approval.
It's probably the more professional thing to do, and then we can attach a photo to it and the dimensions and the planned purpose and all of those things we would ask of anybody else.
That's what I think too. So thanks for sharing that. Shared concern. I did have one other question. Is who owns the property that they will be located on?
The city.
Okay. So do we know what paperwork or what the details are that we need to have in place with the city for that, or do I need to work on that?
Well, there would be a permit process through municipal services for use of the right of way, and that's where I think perhaps they've already done some research on that, but that's why I wasn't sure exactly what we were talking about as far as the application. So has an application been made to Public Works or municipal services yet that you're aware of?
No, just because we still don't have the square actual design in hand. And so for right now, we're going to go ahead and get the Truman, and it will be done by November, December-ish. And then it will go in a not permanent location on the square. But we knew that we also needed to contact the city to ask permission to put it on the sidewalk. So it'll be, I'm assuming it will be almost like our outdoor seating for restaurants. You know, there's like an agreement between the city and us that we can utilize that space for this period of time. And then then whatever we need to do with the actual square streetscape, that part will be included in the contract with the city, right?
Right. Well, perhaps I should help make connections there with municipal services and with the streetscape team to try to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay.
So that would be great.
The application is, as I understood it, for us would be for like if we were anybody else, is coming to the commission with the application, with the photos, just like the billboard, the mural. And so that you all can look at it, talk about it, and make sure it's the appropriate thing for the city, right? I mean,
Well, the application that we had before with the murals was technically for the facade grant program. And this wouldn't be under that program. So, but there's no reason why we couldn't use the same application. But we really don't have, and we really need to, probably we should create in our policy some sort of an application process for that. Like an application.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Excuse me, go ahead.
Yes. Did you have a comment? I was just talking about how the application that we had before was for the facade grant program. And this wouldn't actually be in that program, but no reason why we couldn't use the same application process.
I don't know that we actually need to go quite that detailed because the process was a little bit different for our mural project. However, I think this is a perfect time to take the rough draft that I have for placing public art on city property and refining it to make sure that we've covered all the bases. This is a really good first attempt to make a real completed project. It will give us the opportunity to vet all of those parts, all the moving parts into one application. So if you wouldn't mind, I would like to start with the rough draft to give to Cindy and see how it works, see if it fits what we need. It should be simpler than the mural ones.
yeah.
Well, yeah, if you've got a draft of an application, that would be fine. Yeah, that way we wouldn't, I was just saying that if you didn't have one, we could always use we could use that one if you desire, but if you've got one that is better, let's use that. Then I will still try to, I'll hook up I guess it would be, the Square Association would have to be, I guess would be the one making application to municipal services for the right-of-way permit.
Yes. Liberty Square has art on all of their four corners. I wonder how they handled it. Maybe I can try to sleuth that one out. Do they have an art section?
Well, they do. So they're pretty organized. And in fact, I think they might have a administrative person with the city that is committed to the arts. I'm not for sure about that, but they're pretty organized. They might be a really good, we could really maybe copy them. I'm not for sure. If you wanted to ask, that would be great. They're really great to work with. They're really nice and encouraging and so forth. So they're not trying to, make sure they do something better than anybody else. They're very encouraging. So you might want to visit with them.
Okay. I can also talk to their Square director too and see from his end how they managed it.
Yes, that part would be really helpful. To me anyway. You probably have it all figured out.
Oh no.
I do have a rough draft or rough idea of how the application should be, all the things the application should cover. But I think that we're missing some of those elements, like I just learned about the application to the municipal services for that agreement. So this will be a great opportunity to really flesh out all of those details that maybe aren't included in what I thought would work for us. So I would like to share that with you, Cindy, sometime later this week.
Okay.
Okay, so Stacy, since you're here, you should take back over the chairing this meeting. But since you can't see your screen, you can't see that Eric Erfer has raised his hand virtually for a comment or question. So if Eric, do you have something you wanted to add in there?
Just a short comment or request. Byron, when you are finished with those maquettes, if you think it would be appropriate, we'd be very interested in having those on display as well at the Truman Memorial Building in one of our display cases here in our lobby, which I think would be pretty fun.
Good. Well, Cindy and I have talked about also creating 16-inch maquettes, which might be offered for sale to the public or for other purposes around the city. So we certainly will keep that in mind, Eric, and would like to be able to accommodate that.
Thank you.
Great idea. Well, Mark, if you would make sure to guide me if I miss something while I do this in the dark. I think that we're on to our next topic, our next agenda topic, which is the virtual tour update. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We are? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if there is any new information right now that we'd like to share, either Eric or Monica.
I mean, this is Monica. I have some ideas for PR in regards to the like Facebook and Instagram and those things. I think those are still things that we maybe need to take away as a group outside of maybe posting on the city site. But maybe like more like the Independence Examiner or the Kansas City Star or even television. If I don't know if you're fine with me reaching out on the commission's behalf, once we get closer to the rollout, if there's something like a blurb that could be added just to promote it in those areas.
The one thing we do have to coordinate communications through our city public information officer, Meg Lewis, who you know, and so I'm sure she'd be happy to help put out anything that you'd like to put together, and I'm sure those would be fine with her. We just need to touch base, and she was I was hoping she might be able to join us for this call, but she's not able to be here. So I think that you should proceed like those things can be done. But if you would let me know before you actually contract with anything, I mean, or you actually send out anything, we'll make sure we touch base with her on that.
Okay. And also I'd like to reach out to Arts KC to see if they could put like a link on their site as well.
Absolutely.
I would suggest that you include pitch, include in your outreach with a press release. Do you feel comfortable writing a press release?
Sure, I can take a stab at it and then send it back out to the group to see to edit if that works.
I don't know if I would require or I need to, monitor your work, but if others feel like they want to take a look at it, that's perfectly fine. But if you made that press release and passed it along to Meg, then she could just give her blessing and maybe we could just move forward like that.
Right. I think that's exactly a good approach.
Okay.
Yeah, Monica, this is Katie. If you want a second set of eyes, I don't need to see it, but I would be happy to review it for you.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Well, that sounds like a great plan, and I appreciate both of you doing that. And I'm sure that if you don't know how to reach out to Meg, I guess, Mark, you can to her, yes.
Yeah, we can definitely make that. You could get that to me or to Eric, and we'll make sure that she gets it, and we'll get her input as needed on that. One thing I did want to also mention is we did mention. I bounced off of Meg the idea. There was talk at the last meeting about some sort of a city branded logo for Arts Commission, and Meg tells me that they had made the decision that they weren't going to do individualized branding logos for boards and commissions. So we'll just have to use the basic city independence one, but then after that we'll have to just title below it or something the Mayor's Advisory Commission on the Arts. So I guess they made a decision not to individually brand boards and commissions. So, but I think we can work around that. We'll just use the city generic logo, and we'll just put titles to who you are and what you're saying. It will be right. We'll follow right after. So.
Thanks for following up on that, Mark.
You bet. There's someone with a hand up here, I see.
Nancy.
That's Nancy. Hi. Well, I didn't have your name on on my screen here. So great. So Nancy has a question, Stacy.
Well, actually, it wasn't a question. It was an add-on for promo for the virtual art tour. A friend of ours that works for the Living History is Michael Hogan. He hosts the Arts Magazine on 90.1 FM radio, and I think this would be a good place too. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's called the Arts Magazine, and he's always looking for guests to come on and talk about what's happening in the art world. So that might be something that you want to put on there as well. And if you want that contact, how to get on his show, it's Mondays at noon. Then I can give that to you.
That would be excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Another good one. Great minds, you guys. Thank you. Is there any other conversation regarding the virtual tour update? Hearing none, we'll move along then to the Truman and Trails murals update. Anything to share, Cindy or Mark?
Just wanted to put that on there just so you can be keeping an eye on it. The artist Dan Brewer is working on the Truman mural. Eric and his people went and picked up the panels, and they were I believe it was 8 4x8 panels, correct, Eric? Is that right?
16.
Well, 16 total, yeah, but I mean for each one is 8,
Yeah,
right?
each one is eight panels long. That's correct.
Right. So that's pretty amazing. So he is working on the Truman one, which Cindy has graciously permitted to go on the Felia's south wall facing Maple. And we have to get a facade easement still signed. I'm still working on getting that part of it done. But anyway, if there are any questions about it, he's hoping to get that done by May, in order to have it installed by May 7th was kind of his target. That we'd like to unveil it on May 7th if possible.
Mark, I might also add that we've received an installation quote from Star Signs. We use Star Signs frequently. The most latest project they've done for us is at Cable Dom Arena when we did our naming rights switchover. So they hung all of those signs out on the exterior of the arena. So they're very qualified to do this work. They have actually done mural installations before. We're looking at attaching them with standoffs, so they're actually not physically up against the brick. There's some airspace between the panels and the facade. They will be coming out and doing some field measurements at some point. So when they do, Cindy, if you want us to get a hold of you, we'll let you know when they'll be on site, and we can talk a little bit more specifics about installation methods and timing and things of that nature. If you'd like, I'll make sure you're in on that meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. Fingers crossed the wall can handle the weight.
Yeah, the panels aren't very heavy, so but they will be doing all that inspection and engineering and such. They do that in-house.
Yeah, crossing my fingers.
If there's no other conversation regarding this item 6, we'll move on to the item that I added to our agenda today. I spoke with Mayor Weir on the 3rd, and the second round of the Asphalt Art Initiative has been released for another round of awards. And this was done a couple of years ago. We were not timely enough to be make an application, but we do, we're right at it right now because it was released on March 2nd. This is a project that is initiated by the Bloomberg Philanthropies. It is an application that must be made by the it's only available to mayors, so in small cities. So the first round, there was actually an application that was awarded in Kansas City, so we can see a living example right now. But this application is open today, and it will close on April 30th. It's a project that's really a community builder through art. So the objective with this one, and just this is a really broad brush for a very specific project, but they have projects for art and design to improve street safety, revitalize public spaces, and engage residents. So the project that Kansas City was awarded 2 years ago, you can see it. It is actually online. You can see their finished product online, and they just painted and did some interesting changes to a 4-way intersection that would help to calm the traffic and improve pedestrian safety and beautify it. I will pass all of this application on to you all to read over. The deadline for this, I mean, they're really short windows that they have open. So the deadline for this is actually April 30th. And it is a project that would be managed by a city, like by Public Works or Parks and Rec. And so what I would like to do is put together a work session sometime next week where we could put together all of our guidance and decide who we think should handle this, and see if anybody in that department can or will handle making an application with the encouragement that we put together. So I know that's a kind of a blurry amount of information, but I think that's probably the best way to approach it. If you have another idea or if you're familiar with it and want to make a comment, please do so.
I'm a little blurry on that last little bit there about, so you were wanting to convene a subcommittee to figure out what city department to ask to make application and oversee the project. Is that what you were saying?
Well, I would, what the Art Commission should do is take a look at the project opportunity and decide who we think could best manage the project and give the parameters for making the application and writing the grant. The grant would not be, you don't have to do the project for 2 years, but you have to make the application by April 30th. So all the details don't have to be completed, but what needs to be completed is the parameters for what we think would be a successful project. So I'm not really clear on if that should go to Public Works or to Parks. And so if we put these things together and our heads together, we can figure that part out. And that's the kind of, that would be our then advice to the mayor for how to proceed. So yeah, I wanted to make a work group, whether if you don't have the time or you don't have the interest, you know, I don't want to try to take your time to do it, but if you do, I would like to meet with any one of the commission members for just a little, just to get us off the ground here and move forward and decide what to do next, because our time is so tight. Does that make more sense?
Well, I think what we need to do is I think we have to have an internal meeting at the city to find out what our capabilities are too. And so I'm not really sure how that fits in there exactly. It might be that we'll just have to try to invite ourselves to that meeting and talk about that. Because I mean, availability of you know, city staff is going to be key, you know, and that might determine how it has to go, whether it's the perfect way to go or not. You know, it might be the only way. So that's why it's pretty important to get that input, I think. So we'll just invite ourselves to be part of that conversation, I guess.
Would it, sorry, Stacy, go ahead.
Cindy, please go ahead.
Would it be more our role to do the meeting you're talking about and maybe identify areas where these types of things could happen? And so maybe it's almost either coming up with ideas ourselves and then fleshing them out with the area, you know, say if it was Inglewood or if it was the square, maybe fleshing them out with those people who are there, or maybe it's a neighborhood that needs a art safety component to it or something. Maybe that's our role, is to help flesh those areas out, and then as quickly as possible bring them to the mayor and the city, and they figure out how to do it. Right?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. Thank you.
I would be happy to be on that committee.
I want us to meet like soon. So anytime Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday next week.
I can make this week happen.
For this week. So
the only meeting I will never rearrange is my hair.
Oh, you make me laugh. Okay, so I would like to participate. Cindy would like to. Is there anyone else who's interested in participating with this? Okay. Well, we can get together and then pass this to everyone else and to the city and see how we think it should move forward. How's that?
It's fine with me.
If anybody changes their mind, if they'd like to participate, let me or let Cindy know, and we will gather you in with our conversation. If there's no other comment right now, and I'll just talk to you later, Cindy, today about that.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. If there's no other conversation about this particular topic, then I wanted to open this to see if there's any other information anyone would like to share.
I have an item if you're ready for it.
Sure.
The city's going to be moving back towards in-person meetings of council and boards and commission, well, really, they'll be more like, they'll be hybrid type meetings. But they're basically saying that if a board or commission really would like to continue being virtual, that's up to the will of the majority of that commission. If they'd like to do that, we could continue going with virtual meetings. You know, and in fact, that's actually kind of preferred right now. We're sort of in a transition period, but I wanted to see what your thoughts are as far as do you actually prefer the virtual meetings? I know our attendance is really great on these virtual meetings. So do you want to continue with the virtual meetings, which are live streamed on Channel 7, which is what we're doing right now? Or would you prefer to start going back to live meetings, which might have a hybrid component, but it's a lot bigger deal to do those because we still have to get we could only be doing those at the, if we'd have to either have them at the council chambers or at the Independence Utility Center in order to get the capability to do the hybrid. So we wouldn't be able to do it quite as we had in-person meetings in the past. So I wanted to just get your thoughts on whether you'd like to continue for the time being with virtual meetings or change.
Mark, I would favor a couple of hybrid meetings. I think it's only a matter of a few months before we move to face-to-face. Jane and I have both had both of our vaccination shots, and I'm sure that's true of some of the other members of the commission. And as more and more of us become vaccinated, there's less and less risk involved. And I would be comfortable now with moving to face-to-face, but I think the transition might work best for us. Just an idea.
Is anybody interested in does anybody want to have any in-person meetings starting right immediately, or do you want to because that's because if we do hybrid, we still have to set up a physical meeting location. And so is anybody interested in attending those? They would either, like I said, it'd be in the council chamber or at the IUC, and they would probably then be in the evening.
Well, I mean, my only comment is that today's the first time I've ever had any challenge at all with the virtual meeting, and I thought they have gone quite well. I do prefer an evening meeting, though. The time just is a little more flexible for me anyway, in case we wanted to run over. I do look forward to meeting in person because I think we're a creative group that probably does our best work in person. I'm not excited about going to the hybrid meeting places. So I would prefer probably to either be virtual or in person.
That's hybrid.
Well, if you'd like, you don't have to decide right this minute. If you want, just trying to bring this up, you could give us a little thought as to how you'd like to, how you might want to proceed. We're going to be coming up with some little more guidelines that we could provide you maybe later about what would be required. But yes, you're right. That's the bad thing about going to we'd like to start, as Byron said, we'd like to start transitioning into in-person meetings. It'd be nice to also still keep the capability to call in if you can't be there. But unfortunately, the hybrid requires the change in physical location from, we used to be at the sermon parlor there at Truman Memorial Building, which was very nice for the in-person meetings, but that doesn't have the technology capability. So like I said, I'm catching you kind of cold on this, so you don't have to decide right now, but I wanted to put the idea out there. We'll get you some more information, and then we could ask you for some for guidance for future meeting.
Yeah, Mark, maybe we can send out an electronic poll.
Right.
Good
Right.
idea.
We can write up. I'm just jotting this down.
It might also be, maybe we could also consider using the chamber boardroom because it does have capability to do both if needed. So that is an option. I mean, I would vote right now just to stay this way just because doing that halfway in and out thing, I just know for planning commission, we figured it out. It's interesting to do hybrid with the city. I think is the hard part.
Yeah.
But so maybe at the chamber it wouldn't be quite as difficult, but just
Yeah, it depends on the time. If we could get access to the building in the evening,
yeah,
would be another.
What if we were able to do like a 4 o'clock meeting? I don't know how people's schedules are, but you know, even a 4 o'clock one before the 5 o'clock bewitching hour for them. I don't know.
Right. Well, I think Thomas got a good idea. If we could figure out how to do like a electronic survey, maybe we could try to lay out a bunch of options and just kind of get a sense as to what people want. We can discuss those votes a little bit. You know, so that, I know we love to have in person. It's great for the public too, and I think that is the thing. We need to start moving towards that again, but it's very difficult to. It's also very good to have this virtual. It certainly has helped attendance and you know, the new sensibilities about people being, you know, even if you have a regular cold, maybe the great thing to do is don't come to the meeting, but maybe you could phone in and still be part of it. You know, if we could let technology work for us, it might be a great thing.
It's one of the things we've talked about with planning commission is that one of the things we as commissioners love is that it's so transparent this way. I mean, and it gives voice to everyone, even those that are home ridden still can find a voice in this venue. And so while that's not necessarily needed for all of these other smaller commissions, it's really a nice thing that the city has to offer. Again, it goes back to technology, but yes. I think that it's kind of a cool thing that, you know, and to your point, if you've got a cold and you can't show up, but you know, you can show up for Zoom, perfect. So I like the idea of trying to figure out how to do both, but.
Yes. You know, another aspect of it, which kind of maybe supports your idea about maybe a 4 o'clock something or something during business hours, perhaps. I know Steve, who's our technology guy, who's right now streaming this on Channel 7. If Steve was to weigh in, he'd say that, you know, one of the biggest problems is he's stretched pretty thin. You know, too many of these meetings in the evening is just impossible. And the calendar's getting so full up anyway that it's getting hard since we are limited in locations for hybrids meetings, he's having a tough time. We're having a tough time getting this on the calendar even. So, you know, so go ahead, Steve. Right. Well, thank you for that, Steve. Thank you for jumping in there. And so, like I say, we have to keep their bandwidth in mind. They don't have the capability to do too much of everything. But I think you have some great ideas. We'll come up with some ideas. We'll try to come up with I think Eric is suggesting that a Survey Monkey tool might be great for us to get this out to you all and get some input. So we will do that, and then we'll move forward from there. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mark. That's all. You know, it's exciting to look forward to seeing all of your faces again. Some of them I've never had the opportunity to meet in person. So I'm looking forward to that. And in the meantime, thank you for sending out the survey. That'll be a good way for us to begin moving forward.
Very good. Stacy, there was a hand raised a minute ago. Somebody, I don't know if it was that Nancy. Somebody had a hand up, but I don't see it now.
Me. It was me, but it was an accident. I apologize.
Very good.
Any other shares this afternoon? Well, I know you probably have a lot of things going on. You just aren't thinking of them to share right now. So we'll look forward to visiting again soon. And I will just thank you all for your time today and apologize for my poor participation. I will just call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
That was Cindy and
Tom.
Thomas. Thank you. Thank you all so much. And I will visit with you again soon. Looking forward to it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.